because I was driving, I was not in a position to speak. But generally, it's been okay. Our caution would be that yesterday we saw some showers, so you know there is a way in which you drive the vehicles and in a condition that is preferred the vehicle to be in. So you must make sure that every morning when you wake up, you check your vehicle, you ensure that it is in a roadworthy conditions. Because now with the onset of the rains, hopefully it continues like this, it means that our roads are going to be slippery, and we need to exercise maximum care and caution and just be courteous to other road users.
Now, looking at just what you've explained, talking about the increase in the use of devices while it's driving, maybe just highlight to us what amounts to the use of a mobile phone or any electronic gadget or device when a motorist is driving.
It's just bad road user behavior. Of course, we know that it's an offense, and people are aware that you can be charged and you can be prosecuted. I don't know whether people have become too busy now. I don't know whether people can't do without communication. And sometimes you find that maybe somebody is just sending an emoji to a friend or to a relative. Can you imagine just the sending of an emoji causes you to go and pay 450 kwacha? Can that emoji wait? It can wait. There is no message that is worth your life. And the worst thing is that people now are even live streaming, they're even taking videos, they're even texting. Because if you're texting, then your eyes are off the road. It means there's no concentration, you can't see what is happening. The moment your eyes are on the road, you're either off the line, or you're either hitting into somebody, or maybe you're stopping when you're not supposed to. And therefore you're causing congestion and causing frustration in other road users. So the definition of why there seems to be an increase in terms of use of mobile communication devices is just the road user behavior for the people that are on the road.
But what does the law say on where should the phone be? Is it you encourage hands-free, but at times if even if it's hand-free, I may have my headsets, but if I need to make a call, I will still have contact with my phone to dial the number that I need to dial. But what does the law say?
Well, thank you very much. The law is very clear. It says that a mobile or communication device should not be in contact with any body parts of a person driving a motor vehicle. People have argued that no, I was not touching my phone, it was on my laps. The law clearly states there should be no contact between the person driving a motor vehicle and the communication device. It shouldn't be in your hand. There should just be no contact with any part of your body. Now, headsets are an exception. Headsets, you can use them because it does not distract your sight. Now, vehicles are made differently. There are no vehicles that have some vehicles that the hands-free provision, others don't have. So those that don't have are actually advised to use the headsets. But if you're having a vehicle that has a provision for use of a hands-free phone, well, that's well and good. But the law is very clear. You should not have contact with communication device, and again there. But again, people would say, but how come that's the people themselves, that we see them talking now? Here is an exception. People that work for RATSA are not exempted. I am not allowed to use a phone when I'm driving just simply because I work for the Road Transport and Safety Agency. No, but there is an exemption. People that are driving emergency or patrol vehicles are also not allowed to use their own mobile phones while on the road. What they use are inbuilt communication radio devices. Those are allowed because they are made in a way that drivers or officers on the road are not distracted, and not a mobile phone. So that is an exception.
Okay.
And we want to make it very clear here that there must be a distinction. Someone was telling me, why is it that you find a person driving a vehicle written in the name of a security company with an orange beacon? Are they also emergency vehicles? No. Emergency vehicles are one, the fire tender, an ambulance, the RATSA patrol vehicles, and the Zambia police clearly marked highway road traffic patrol vehicles, and the presidential motorcade, and the motorcade for the vice president.
But at times we see...
So you can't wear a uniform of any law enforcement agency driving a private vehicle and want to drive in a dangerous manner simply because you're uniform and you want to think that's an emergency vehicle. The vehicle must clearly be marked an emergency vehicle. You must have a beacon on it. It must be clearly labeled and branded in a manner that qualifies it to be an emergency vehicle.
But we have rapid response vehicles for security companies. Are they also categorized as emergency vehicles?
No, that's just a rapid response. They are responding in a rapid manner. There's not an emergency. Even if they drive in a very dangerous manner, what emergency are they going to provide there? because those are skilled and specialized people. That's why they drive in a man. Those people that drive emergency vehicles are not ordinary drivers. They can stop at anywhere. They know how to maneuver. They know how to turn. That's why they are. I'm not saying they can't be involved in a road traffic accidents. They are, but it's very rare. So it's a special skill that you acquire. Those people that drive rapid response vehicles, which specialized driving school do they go to? It's just it's just bad road user behavior, wanting to take advantage of people.
And what comes with obstruction of such vehicles that are categorized as emergency vehicles, such
No,
as the
first of all,
ambulance?
that is very dangerous. You know, you can be, because an ambulance, it's saving lives. It must actually, in developed countries, there are even designated road lanes for such vehicles, such that only such vehicles use those. So you can be charged for obstruction of roadway by motor vehicle. You can also be charged by obstruction of justice.
Right, we are looking at accidents statistics during the Independence weekend, and of course it's a period, like Mr. Avalu introduced our topic. Generally during long weekends, people get excited. There are those who travel from their domicile jurisdictions to other locations, and so much excitement on the road, and this generally compromises road safety for themselves and other road users and other motorists. And so as we look at this weekend, like we spoke about it in our last program, how was the general conduct during this weekend of Independence?
Thankfully, you know, this one was a combined operation. It was between RTSA, Zambia Police. We also have colleagues from Zambia breweries and the Zambia bottlers. I think according to our plan and to what we had envisaged, ideally and all in all, it was a huge success. It was there were no major instances. At least there was no record of any fatality and any major road car crash that occurred. So in our view, it was a success because no lives were lost, particularly for Livingston, where the most day of thunder organized by our colleagues from the Zambian breweries was taking place. But you know, where there is a gathering, where there are people, it's excitement, people haven't met each other. We did record a number of offenses. I am saying because it was a huge success because there was no lives lost, meaning we had no fatalities. Secondly, there was no major accident where you can say, okay, this is a big accident, like people were trapped and they survived, and you know maybe there were injuries recorded. Such records we do not have for that particular period. However,
Are you just pointing to Livingston, or this is generally just across the
no,
country?
this is what the general statistics are pointing to, that there were no major road traffic accidents that resulted in fatalities.
Into fatalities.
Yes,
Okay.
but I'm zooming into
Livingston now.
because that was where there was the highest number of people converging in one place.
Okay. Right. With that regard, then maybe we talk about what offenses were prominent in your statistics generally over this weekend, particularly for those patrons who traveled to Livingston.
Well, the highest one I think was 196, which was the result of expired road tax. We also had the 149 cases recorded for people who were driving in a dangerous manner. We also had the 113 for expired certificate of fitness, meaning their vehicles were not supposed to be on the road because they were not worthy, they were not examined. Then there was also about 44 offenses which recorded the convictions for the offense of applying for hire. Now, people do not seem to understand what applying for hire. Applying for hire simply means using a vehicle that is not supposed to be used for transport purposes, but you are earning an income. For example, you get your motor vehicle, drive it on the road, and you start charging people. That's what you call maybe like, oh, I think about lifts. That is the offense called the applying for hire. So 37 were for failure to register their motor vehicles. So we had the 37 people recorded for that offenses, and other offenses included failure to wear a mandatory seat belt. And by the way, the law says mandatory seat belt. So it means there's no question about it. You're obliged to. whether you like it or not. So you need to wear a seatbelt every time you take there. That's a precaution you are taking. You are taking care of yourself, and it reduces the risk of you getting involved in a road traffic crash. Because in an event that you're involved in a road traffic crash, the seatbelt has 50% reduction in terms of the high risk fatalities for a person. So we also had offenses like you know, people driving dangerously. I talked about it, and the total number of all the offenses. Of course, I can't go offense by offense, but I think we had about 1,027 offenses recorded for a period of 4 days. I think 3, because that was Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So that was the general overview. And so the agency was delighted that no major incidences, like I said, were recorded during that period, especially in Livingstone, where the most day of thunder was. But does this mean that because the long weekend is gone, so the alertness is slowed down? No. Does it mean the partnership comes down? No. For us, I think we do have a dedicated department. We do have people that are employed to ensure road safety on the roads. So what may have reduced is the number of patrons converging in one particular place. Our presence continues to be seen and to be felt on the road where we are doing our work.
But when you make these comparisons, if you have the details with regards to your efforts to make sure that our roads are safe, and the also mitigation measures that you put in, how do you compare last year and this year and the same period?
Well, I think there must be a reduction. I may not have the figures on my fingertips for last year, but I think last year there was about 1 or 2 fatalities that were recorded. This year we do not have. In terms of traffic offenses, I think last year we were over 1,500. Now we are talking about 1,027. So I think there must be a reduction. I just do not have the figures with me here, but I know for a fact that there has been a reduction.
And then with those cases that, except we've talked about convictions, where this convicted and were taken to the fast track courts, or how they were the convictions arrived at, and how did you also address the other cases that you've just categorized with regards to expired licenses, expired road tax, and certificate of fitness? How were you mitigating this? Were you stopping motorists to proceed, or how did you address such instances?
Well, what happened is that those that are prosecutable offenses, some offenses were taken to the fast track courts, and those that needed to be fined on the spot were fined, and those that needed to pay immediately, they were made to do so. Now, somebody asked me, is somebody driving a foreign truck and they commit an offense, you check in your system, it's not there. What do you do? For motor vehicles not registered on the Zambian system, or motor vehicles not registered on the electronic Zambia Transport Information System, which is a system that is domiciled at the RTSA, what you do for such people, you explain to them what the charge is and what the offense they have committed, and they pay on the spot. Those you don't let them go, because where are you going to find them again? You won't find them. So if you're driving dangerously and you're using a foreign registered motor vehicle, I stop you, I introduce myself so that you know that you're talking to the right person, explain to you what the offense is and the charge, and you pay on the spot, and you're issued with a receipt. That's how it is.
And with regards to those other vehicles that you are paying fines, and you still allow them to, if the vehicle is not roadworthy, does it just stop at paying a fine and then the vehicle proceeds?
No.
Are you solving the problem?
A vehicle that is not roadworthy, the offense is impoundable. So you impound the vehicle, you make sure that the person pays, and after they pay, the vehicle is not released until there is proof of motor vehicle roadworthiness examination conducted. So because then you issue the person, when you impound that vehicle, you issue them with what is called a seizure form. You give them a form, and that form has provision. It is not fit because it doesn't have A, B, C, D. So for you to go and get it, for you to have this vehicle released, you need to pay this amount, and this vehicle can only be released if you do fitness. So then you allow that person to get a motor vehicle in company with an officer. They go and do fitness, then they prove to you that they have passed the motor vehicle examination. It's upon that time when you issue them with a release order. A release order now will show to the officers that this person has met the requirements. The things that they didn't have on the vehicle have now been fixed or have been attended to, and therefore we give them what is called a release order, and off they go.
All right. Help us just to understand, because expiry of test or certificate may not necessarily mean that the vehicle is not roadworthy, except it has just gotten to the date from the previous test. It might just be all right. But again, they are just vehicles that may have a valid test of certificate and it's not roadworthy. So how do you reconcile the two? The certificate is just expired, but maybe the vehicle is okay, and there are vehicles that you just see, even if the the test certificate is valid, you really see that this vehicle is not roadworthy. How do you reconcile that?
It's unfortunate. You know, that's why it is called the physical motor vehicle examination. It means the examiner that is there must physically see the vehicle, physically inspect the vehicle, and there is what we call a checklist of what they're supposed to check in that vehicle.
But 1 year is too long a time, Mr. Havalu. May test my vehicle today, it's all right, but because of other circumstances, I find that maybe within that same period before the expiry of my road test certificate, my vehicle tends maybe have bad tires, have defective tires, so to say, have maybe smashed windscreen and still keeping it on the road just because I have a valid test certificate, which I did last year in November, and maybe 20th November, and today is the 1st of November. I'm waiting until the date comes to have that vehicle tested. How do you reconcile that?
Thank you very much. I'll respond to your own examples. Smashed windscreen, but your test certificate is still valid. Maybe you do fitness today. After 2 days, your window gets smashed. Simple. Go to the Zambia police. They issue with a police report. That's all.
And keep moving with that.
Of course, you have to show. That's what the law says. That you need to get a police report, and every time you are stopped, you need to provide that. It's as simple as that. Tires. There's no tire that expires within 1 year. Tires, a minimum expiry period is 5 years. So if you within 1 year, you still have time. The only problem, and I'll tell you this, you know what people do? You know that their tires are finished because tomorrow you are going to do fitness for your motor vehicle. You borrow from a guy who has good tires and you take back. And when we see, then we question. Then you're going to say, these examiners are very corrupt. They are issuing fitness to vehicles which have got bad tires. But at the point of examination, everything was okay. The examiner was satisfied that this is what has happened. I mean, look, you are going to drive and you find that maybe your indicator is down or your light is blown off. Surely, you can't say this vehicle is not roadworthy. Those are electricals, you know. Vehicles now are advanced. You can basically engage the person and remind them to say, please, your lights are not on. Is there a problem? Maybe at the point of departure from your own house, everything was okay. Maybe you passed through water and water went through the bulb and the bulb stopped working. Are you supposed to know because you are concentrating? So the officers must use their discretion to inform you to say this is not working. As you go, ensure that you replace it and fix it. There's that discretion. It's not everything that you want to charge a person. Sometimes you can even educate. There's a provision for that. Educate an individual. Unless where it is absolutely necessary, then you can charge a motorist.
All right. Right, this is road safety with Ratsa, and we're looking at generally statistics of accidents and how the roads, how safe the roads were during the Independence holiday. And Mr. Roy Habalu, Information Officer from Ratsa, is my guest. Our text line is 0978-772-801. If you need to participate on this program, you can get us through a text message to our line 0978-772-801. Or you can make an active call. Our call line is 0772 832 122. You can see it on your screen. That is 0772 832 122. Earlier you attributed to the numbers with regards to offenses that were recorded during this period that we're discussing. Looking at the numbers seeming like could still be high, and is the agency doing enough sensitization, or have you put enough measures to make sure that we curb and reduce such offenses that we record on a daily basis?
Well, the numbers are not good. Can you imagine this is only an operation for 3 days, and in one concentrated area, Livingston, you have 196 offenses of expired road tax. One, government is raising revenue. Why are people not paying road tax when they're actually using the roads?
Okay.
So where is the money to construct the roads going to come from? Because that is a tax that you pay for using the road. So the numbers are not good. How can you have 113 expired fitness?
Okay, let's see if you can accommodate a caller. We'll get back to that. You are through to Road Safety with Ratsa. Good morning. All right. Our call line is 0772832122. Please, if you are engaging us, make sure that you have a low volume or turned out device that is a radio set or television set or even your car radio, so that we have a conversation. Remember, if you are driving, please do not call us back, and then you call us and you can engage. We have a call on the line. Good morning. All right, we dropped that call again. Our call line is 0772832122. Let's see if we can have a conversation as we look at road safety. Good morning. We have a call on the line. All right, so we seem to have a challenge. Calls keep dropping. Our call line is 0772832122. We are looking at road safety with regards to accident statistics during the Independence holiday, particularly looking at Livingstone, because there was a big annual event that was organized by the Zambia breweries. If you need to call us, that is our text call line 0772832122, and our text line is 0978772801. And for our followers on Facebook, you can also drop your comment on our Facebook page, that is the National Assembly of Zambia. So we are looking at the high numbers of these offenses that we are you recorded.
Yeah, so like I said, you know, for a period of 3 days, how can you have 113 vehicles with expired fitness certificate?
And just on one route?
Yeah, 44 were using their vehicles for transport purposes, but they didn't meet the requirements for their vehicles to be used as public service vehicles. So that's a concern. In terms of sensitization, I think the agency is trying its best within its limited resources. We've got colleagues on the road that are explaining. We've got officers who are in bus stations. We've got different programs from colleagues at education and publicity. I think in terms of sensitization, that cannot be an excuse. What we need to work on is just road user behavior. We just need to change our mindset, just to know that what I'm doing is the wrong thing. And you know, like they say that integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is seeing you. Why should it be that it has to take Ratsa for you to attend to your own vehicle? Does that vehicle belong to Ratsa? No. Does that vehicle belong to a Ratsa officer? No. Who is endangering your life? It is you yourself, the one who is driving, and not an Ratsa officer. So we must always take our safety first before even officers come in. Isn't it a pleasure that when you see a Ratsa officer come and checks your vehicles and tell you, this vehicle is in good condition, please proceed? That's what we should look forward to.
How do you, in other maybe jurisdictions, maybe it's a term that is called carpooling, if you're going into one direction, because we make few contributions and use perhaps one vehicle, even if it's not registered as a transporting vehicle. But how do you differentiate doing these so-called lifts and carpooling? Maybe before that, but we have a call on the line. We'll get back to that. You are through to Road Safety with Ratsa. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from, please.
I'm calling from Nyimba, Tembo Mac.
Mr. Tembo Max from Nyimba. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, it's a question, sir. I heard Mr. Roy, I'm sure that's the correct name.
Yes, please.
Yes, he was categorizing the vehicles which are called emergencies. I mentioned of the police vehicles, the ambulance, fire tenders, and etc. Now, I wanted to find out, there are these vehicles which carries money, the cash in transit vehicles. In which category do they fall in?
Okay.
That is my question.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Max. Cash in transit vehicles with regards to, in comparison with emergency vehicles, Mr. Roy will be able to respond to that. There's a message here which says, what is the duties of a traffic police who is supposed to check the fitness and insurance? Explain what is pirating in the capacity is 5, then we are 5, then are we pirating, basically. All right, so 3 questions there. Duties of a traffic police officer who is supposed to check the fitness and insurance, and also talk about pirating in a vehicle that is a capacity of 5 and there are 5 passengers. In that we have also a caller on the line. Let's see if we can accommodate this caller. Good morning. You are through to Road Safety with Ratsa. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, please, you are through to road safety. Your name and where you're calling us from.
I just wanted to express myself in my mother language.
Please go ahead, but tell us your name.
Come again?
Your name and where you're calling us from. Then you can go ahead in your
My
language and
name
see
is
if you can get. Yes,
Francis
please.
Mwansa, and I'm calling you all the way from Mundola.
Okay, Mr. Mwansa, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to say in this program is this. Insta ya kweba tini like 24th October, Christmas days, New Year's days. Itinafaya ababa ma speed trap baba fushako. Balenda kuna ngama distance nga take for example Pandola ngaya bafya to route iya kwa ku do kale jo kitwe mwaba kuna ngaba li 3 ama stations ama speed trap. Then from Ndora to Lusaka Flefine kuba se serious pakwa tema speed limit ngana ababika Flefine singala afirisha kupaka wati abantu beera butuka sana panani kani pa road. That is my concern.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Mwansa. We get your consent. So we have one text message, 2 callers. Mr. Mwansa's concern, increased manpower on these routes, especially when we have these events and celebrations of festivals, and also emergency vehicles, cash in transit. All right, let's see if we can squeeze one caller, then we give time to Mr. Havalu to respond to these concerns. Good morning. You are through to road safety with Ratsa. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning, please speak up. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Then you give us your contribution.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Please, your name and your contribution.
I'm Manda Peter from Lusaka.
Mr. Mubanga Peter, go ahead with your contribution. You're on the line, please go ahead.
Peter. Hello?
Yes, please, we can hear you. Please, would you go ahead with your contribution and be brief? It's fine, you can go ahead, we can hear you.
Ninkalira ku Shalom side. Then nifandi Fonseca pankani aba latsa na traffic. Inezi bawai bamashita base kambiri mu town kuchoka paza pa town center kupera pa Soweto paza pa Buyaba panini pa Lumumba bus stop. But from Lumumba bus stop bolofika kuja ku Garden House kuja kumankhala ngati mukomboka usiku kuja kumazamba 16 hours 17 hours ma drivers amachoka kuja kulenya wachokera mu town amabwera kulosinga kuja wana wachokera ku Mungwa side kuja. So imankhala maningi ni bantu bapansi soma chindama maningi. So manje nifuna Fonseca because one time I was there bakulatsa banapakinga moto oxide huko then bantu basta misbehaving pa road. So ifitiona manga bakontrola abantu so umozi pali bakulatsa enzofuna 20 kwacha kuli wamene anagwira napakinga paza pa 2010 kumbuyo huko. So tikambako na 17 kada kusaidi wakulatsa please mutirangane kuchoka pa chati paza kulifika pa white offense kuja because pama nkala congestion maningi paza pela ma drivers kuja ama chumba choka kuleni yao waboda indira kwa choka mtown. So please batiyanke kufunzo hiyo because tumaona maningi ba traffic na baada samashita maningi base mtown muje kaya nindalama amafunako maningi kaya but nice kuno komboni at least balanganeko I think bakaziendako usiku monga lero choka 17 hours baendeko bazaona muhima nkali congestion. Mangati accident. Okay,
thank you so much, Mr. Mwanga. So let's give Mr. Havalu time to respond to these 4 or 5 concerns that have come through.
Thank you very much. Let's start with our brother from Nyimba, cash in transit, as they categorized as emergency vehicles. Now look, this is what is supposed to be done. A cash in transit vehicle that is carrying money from one bank to the other or is carrying money from an institution to a bank is supposed to be accompanied by an armed police officer. Which police officer is supposed to move with a blue beacon? A blue beacon, once it's put on a vehicle, it means it stops being an ordinary vehicle. It can behave in a manner of an emergency vehicle. So every cash in transit, it is a requirement that there must be an armed police officer, and that armed police officer is supposed to move with a blue beacon. We all know, we've been to driving schools, what a blue beacon means, and we know what people driving a blue beacon are supposed to. So it is at that moment when you can categorize it as an emergency vehicles.
But do your officers know that they are supposed to carry a blue beacon when they are accompanying a cash in transit vehicle? Maybe it's not the company, the security company's fault. Maybe it's, your officers, basically, because I'm in uniform, I'm accompanying this vehicle, and they don't provide the necessary service with a blue beacon to escort cash in transit.
No, it is a danger that comes with the commodity that you are carrying. We all know you cannot always start off without that provision, unless in exceptional circumstances, and that must not be allowed. That is the requirement for you to move with cash in transit.
All right. Mr. Mwansa's concern about festival season?
Festive period, I do think that when it comes to the festive period, the RTSA does always come out with different strategies. The strategies we used last year are not the same strategies that we are going to use this year, and we have already started making plans on how we are going to do that. His concern is very good, but again, you cannot just concentrate on one area. If there was a way to have even 4, 6, 8 along that stretch, it was going to be, but it is because of the limitation that comes with the equipment that we have. But his concern is taken. There's always either 1 or 2 along that stretch, just like we have 1 or 4 up to the Nakonde stretch. The idea is to manage traffic flow. Traffic management is one of the duties that we do every day, I think, in each and every hour of the day. There was also duties of a traffic police officer.
Yes,
I don't want to speak for the police. I think we can leave it. But I do know that they are allowed by law to check validity of road tax, insurance, and motor vehicle fitness.
But with regards to seating capacity in the vehicle, you just see 5 passengers in the vehicle, you're already attributing is to pirating?
No, you need to find out if the vehicle capacity is 5. How does that become piracy? The seating capacity according to the manufacturer is 5. So how does it become piracy?
There was a social media, I think, write-up that I think I got sight of, attributing to some junction on the Solwezi Chililawombwe road junction there, where officers, one was complaining, a citizen was complaining that he had 5 passengers on the vehicle, and the officer got a driving license, asked him to that is pirating, of which he attributed that he was going for a funeral from Chidirawombwe to Chingola, but the officer still insisted and went to interrogate further to ask for the names in the car to make sure that they verify whether those are passengers or pirated passengers or their relatives to that.
There is nothing wrong with questioning people. When in doubt, an officer is supposed to clarify. You know why that happened? In most cases, these are officers that operate on the same route. So they tend to know the people that
the train
there,
that happens on the road.
So they know. For example, if you work on a stretch between Lusaka and Mazabuka, and you see this vehicle always going, is it the only person who goes to a funeral every day? So it raises a suspicion. You can ask. But I saw you even yesterday. Was it a funeral? No. Today is a funeral. Okay, go. Tomorrow again should be a funeral. So, where in doubt, an officer can ask. You also asked me about people contributing. Maybe one colleague has got a vehicle, and 3, 4 people put up their mind together. Okay, this is for fuel, this is for accommodation. We are going for the same function. We are going to the same place. Please, can you go? That does not amount to piracy. What amounts to piracy is using your own vehicles, carrying unknown people for the purposes of gaining an income, because you are applying on a government road, and your vehicle, first of all, it must be granted the road service license. It should have a ribbon. It should have a red number plate. It doesn't have all those things, and all those things, all those requirements are paid for. You don't have, but you are making people pay to you, so you are obtaining money wrongly. Okay, that is applying for hire. But getting colleagues that you work with to go for a function in Indol, it's not applying for hire. You are just using one vehicle. Maybe you don't want to use 10 vehicles. What for? Just use one vehicle, then you go.
Exactly. Right, and the call on the stretch from on the Rumumba Road going through towards Mumbwa, the concern by Mr. Mubanga and
well, Mr. Mubanga's concern, I think, came in threefold. First of all, he was alleging that people are only concentrating in town. Is it because of the money that they are getting? Then secondly, he said the only time he saw them along the Lusaka Mumba Road with a stretch, particularly pointing to Garden House, is that a Ratsa officer was asking for a 20 kwacha now. And I think we must get this very clearly. You know, when you are making an allegation, and I think he must have facts, and I'm glad that he's making it in public. And let's address it in this manner. It is not designed to make money for officers to work from points where they are designed. Officers meet and they strategize. What is the strategy for this day? What are we looking at? Is it traffic management? Are we doing snap checks? Are we doing general offenses? So they position themselves according to the strategy they would have devised on that particular day. Then secondly, it is not deliberately designed to leave out a Garden House. I do know that there is too much congestion, and we all know why there is too much congestion there. It's because of the trading places that are along that place. It's because of the business activities that are taking closer to the road, and people want to catch people who are nearest to the road, and therefore the road tend to be congested. To suggest that people are stationed in town center, Lumumba Road and the Soweto Market area because they want to get money. It is again on this program where people were saying, why are you only stationed along Lusaka Road and these other roads? Why are you not coming to town? Because town you find that Chachacha Road, one lane is closed, this other lane is closed. So you see now, you go in this place, you are given a different accusation. You go to this place, it's a different accusation. I'm not saying the officers didn't ask for a 20 kwacha, but what I'm saying that it's very unfortunate. I do not think myself a Ratsa officer can ask for a 20 kwacha. I have no doubt. I tend to differ with Mr. Mubanga. That can never happen. Ratsa officers, they know the consequences of involving themselves in corruption. First of all, they know the core values of the institution. They know the form that we sign upon getting employed. We've had examples of people that have engaged themselves in such corruption. We know what has happened to them. I do not think that there was an attempt by an Ratsa officer to get a 20 kwacha. How did Mr. Wanga know it was a 20 kwacha? Maybe it was a friend of his who said, no, I gave a Ratsa officer 20 kwacha. But I do not think a Ratsa officer can fall for such. They know the consequences.
Okay. Right, this is road safety with Ratsa. Our call line is 0772 832 122. We have a call on the line. Good morning. Please make sure that you turn off your volume on your television or radio set. Good morning.
Hello?
You are through to road safety. Please go ahead. Your name and where you're calling us from. Paulo.
Hello?
Hello? Kasama, yes, please go ahead with your contribution.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Go ahead, please. Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Go ahead. Kasama, go ahead. We can hear you. It's all right. It's all right. We can hear you. Go ahead, sir. Unfortunately, your line is bad. Maybe you can drop the line and call us again. Attempt to call us again. Feel free to speak your language if we can. We'll make sure that we get the narrative of what you want to contribute on this important program. Mr. Habalu is here. Let's see if we can read some message. We have a call on the line. All right, let's see if we can read some messages. This one is just a contribution and saying from Mr. Kenny, who says Siamatika, Siampota from Siavonga says you are doing a very great job to save the lives of Zambians. Ratsa, keep it up. All right, that is from Kenny. The other message says, why does Ratsa allow broken down trucks remain on the roads for a long time? But just before that, we have a caller on the line. Good morning. Hello? You are through to road safety with Ratsa. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Please give us your name and where you're calling us from, then you give us your contribution.
This is Mr. Goliato's case.
Mr. Goliato case from?
This is Goliato's case calling from Lusaka.
Yes, please go ahead with your contribution.
From Lusaka?
Yes, please make your contribution.
My contribution is actually I wanted to find out something.
Yes, please go ahead.
I wanted to find out about these vehicles that park along Heroes Road.
Okay. What have they done?
Yeah, just on the road there because it's been going on that trade for a long time, just in the eyes of the RAXA officers, and there's nothing that is being done. Because one lane has been taken, people are just using it for pirating there and hiking.
Okay. Are you done with your contribution? Thank you for that. Okay. This message, Mr. Habalu says that traffic police, they touch our licenses without white gloves. Why advisor? And these are told to patrol. They are told to patrol within the radius of 10 kilometers, but they go beyond. What should we do as drivers, especially in Choma? We have a caller on the line as well. You are through to Road Safety with Ratsa. Good morning. Okay, we take another message. This one says, good morning. Your officer's vehicle has no side mirrors, screen almost damaged. They are saying the law allows them to be on the road with a car, even if, okay, seemingly to lost that message, but it's talking about the roadworthiness of your officer, your official vehicles, and in comparison with what faults you look for in from the members of the public and their motor vehicles. So maybe we can begin with the first message. Why do you allow broken down vehicles to remain on the road for a long time? And the other message was talking about traffic officers, all right, the one that is talking about unfortunate case, the vehicles at Heroes Stadium, which have taken out almost one lane completed and completely taken by those vehicles that allegedly are doing piracy of, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, it is not that RATSA allows broken down vehicles to be on the road. How can we allow an offense to be committed? So first of all, RATSA does not allow. Secondly, broken down vehicles, they know what to do, the drivers of those motor vehicles. That's why now the agency did procure the tow trucks. That's the job of a tow truck. So when you see a broken down vehicle, you as a road user, you have the responsibility to inform the RTSA through the toll-free line 983, call the call center. There's a broken down vehicles. Previously, we used to tow those vehicles free of charge, but I think it was becoming a little bit expensive for the agents. Now there is even a fee attached to that. I think there's even a radius and there's a breakdown of the amount. I may not be accurate with the figures. So when you see a broken down vehicle and it has been there for a few hours, it means the information has not reached us. In instances where a broken down vehicle has been reported, immediately tow truck is dispatched. And actually tow trucks are stationed in provincial centers, and I'm not saying all provincial centers do have. Some have, some do not have. If there's a breakdown in Chibombo area, I think Kabwe has, so they can dispatch and go and pull it off the road, and that is the idea. And we have been encouraging members of the public,
at a fee, of course.
Of course, at a fee, because the owner, registered owner of that motor vehicle, have to incur, because that is a cost also on the agent. So it's not that we allow. And secondly, when you see it, it means that we are not aware. Remember, we are not everywhere. So where we are not, we depend on you members of the public to get that information and pass it on to the call center, and we act on it promptly. Goliato's case, Lusaka is saying that one lane Hero Stadium has been taken. I've been part of an operation to clear and try and decongest that area. And I'll tell you where the problem is. The problem is that when there is a presence of officers, it's smooth flowing, it's okay, it's nice. The moment officers leave there, it's business as usual. The problem is people do not report. Mr. Goliatos is one of the people we depend on. He must say, this is what is happening, you know. I do know that most of the mornings, if not every day, there is presence of officers there. Presence of officers, maybe up to 10 hours. The moment officers disappear, there is lawlessness there. So it is these people who are supposed to. I can tell you that if 1, 2, 3, 4 vehicles are reported, because these are the same vehicles, because they operate from the same area, if these are reported and they are punished, that is going to stop. So we call upon my brother from that area to keep reporting. Traffic officers touching our licenses without gloves. Again, I don't want to speak for the police. If you referred to Ratsa, I think I was going to be comfortable to respond to that. Ratsa officers driving vehicles which are not roadworthy. Well, that is an allegation. As far as I know, the vehicles that are doing enforcement activities are firstly checked every day, even when the validity is 1 year. They are checked in terms of roadworthiness, including the drivers themselves. How is their state of mind? How are they? Can they be able to do this? That is what is happening. I would love to have an example of a vehicle that is not roadworthy and it's not on the road. There was
And it's
there was
attributed to say there are no side mirrors. It should have been seen by the person. And
so first of all, how do you even get on a vehicle which has no side mirrors and you want to drive it and you want to go and impound others who do not have them? Because I think that's not correct. But I'll give reference to one of them. I think it was a picture that was trending, a very old picture. You know, somebody went and got a picture of a Ratsa vehicle that was in the garage. So if a vehicle is in the garage, then it means it's defective, isn't it? And says, can you see this Ratsa vehicle doesn't have this, it doesn't have this. Why would a person go to such an extent? But when we checked our records, and they were saying it was on a particular road, when that vehicle was actually in a garage in Livingston, and it was reported to be driving on the Lusaka roads, so you can see the malice. So I'm not saying that it is bad for people to look out for our our defects. No, what I'm not saying is that there is no need for people to go out of the way and simply become malicious just to embarrass an organization. Rasta is not an organization that you should be in conflict with. It is your organization. Work with it, learn from it. There are more services that the organization provides apart from law enforcement. We need to learn and understand. For example, if you are going to go out of the country, if you find a job, you find a scholarship, you want to go and do internship, what are my requirements? You have a new job, they are telling you this job requires you to be driving around. Ratsa, am I supposed to use the Zambian license? What am I supposed to do? That is the information you must get from Ratsa. Ratsa will tell you, you need to obtain this, the requirements for you to obtain this is this and this, when you are there driving in this manner. That is an institution that is for you. You want to open up a business, a trucking business. What should I do? What type of motor vehicles do I need? What is supposed to be the type of number plates? What is the maximum capacity load? What am I supposed to load? If I'm at the border, what permits do I need? That is the information you need to do. Why do we want to concentrate on only one small portion, which is less than even 2% of what Ratsa does?
Okay, maybe Mr. Roy, just before we close, you hear something good coming also from the public, and this message comes from Katete and says, good morning, I'm grateful that you have Mr. Havalu. Kindly educate us more on the process. Well, this is on the process of getting a license, but a good message I wanted to read was, job well done, Ratsa, but also make the vehicles that move in the road must be fit, because the other vehicles are not good. That's why much accidents are happening. And it also talks about what the police are doing on the stretch on from Katete, Petaoke, and Tiuchpata, and they're saying Ratsa is doing a commendable job, and this is helping in saving lives of the people. Maybe away from your officers being accused of getting 20 kwachas, they are also being commended on the other stretch. But just before we go, shared responsibility, as you talk about, as safety is a shared responsibility, and in closing the program.
Well, thank you very much. Ratsa is a small institution. You know, we are managing a vehicle population which is extremely big, and it has more than doubled now. So we can't do it on our own. That's why we depend on stakeholders like yourselves, members of the public, other road users, transporters, and just everybody else who uses the road. That what you see going on wrong, ours is just to regulate and enforce. So we report to us, we call those people, we talk to them, bring them to the discussing table, and we share these responsibilities. Someone was accusing me that you don't want to speak to the police, but we are always found with the police. Maybe I would request that one day you bring a Ratsa officer here and a representative from the Zambia police, so that we can speak from both the perspectives.
I'm sure we can facilitate
because these are two different institutions. The Ratsa has got its own mandate and the traffic, but most of the things that we do in collaboration. And I think it would be very good to have a representative. I have no doubt that my brothers from Zambia police, Mr. Danny Mwale, my other brother, Mr. Ray Hamong, I don't think they will have any difficulties. I think they would even look forward to come and discuss with you on these matters.
Okay.
We are getting into the festive season. The rain season is on us here. We know how to drive when it is raining. Reduce your speed. Watch out for slippery roads. Be courteous to other road users. Make sure when the rains are pouring heavily, switch on your lights. The idea is to be visible so that people can see who is ahead of them. I thank you very much.
Right, Mr. Havalu, it's been a pleasure having you on the program.
I'm most grateful, sir.
Right, dear viewers and our listeners out there, we want to thank you so much. I will come to the end of the program, and like I make an assurance always that these messages that we've sent are so helpful to the agency as we populate them and give them for those which are of an administrative nature. It helps in decision and policy making in the agency, and I'll be forwarding these messages to the authority for onward usage. But for now, we have to come to the end of the program because of other programming, but we'd like to thank you so much for having made an audience with us, following us on Facebook, making your calls, and listening in quietly and silently and following the program. I do hope that it's been educative. I've been your host, Julius Musmali. My guest was Mr. Roy Havalu, and on sign language, we had Mr. Jason Manda. But remember, the blue light keeps watching you.